The Board of Trustees met in closed session and conferred with our attorney regarding our response to Student Trustee Troya's demands for cure and correction. The board responded in writing to Trustee Troya's letter on May 6, 2013. A copy of the response will be available through our board secretary if you are interested in reading it. Within that letter, we indicate that that Trustee Troya's allegations are frivolous and totally lacking in merit. So we move on. Pledge of Allegiance. Trustee Kellogg, would you please lead us in the flag salute?
If everyone could please stand and join me in saluting our flag and country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Trustee Kellogg. Okay, roll call.
President Uranga.
Present.
Vice President Kellogg.
Here.
Member Bowen.
Here.
Member Clark. Here. Member Otto.
Here.
I just want to note that Student Trustee Troya is out today. He has a class project that he needs to complete, so he will not be attending this meeting. Approval of the minutes of April 23. I've been advised that there is one correction to the minutes, and that's on the roll call vote, noting that Trustee Tom Clark was absent on that meeting. However, inside there is that indication that he was absent, so it's just a minor correction of the minutes. Any other corrections from the trustees? Okay, the minutes stand as amended. Going to the next item, we have the ordering of the agenda. Is there any ordering of the agenda at this time? Okay, hearing none, we shall continue with our agenda.
Board President.
I'm sorry, I skipped welcome and introductions. Yes, welcome.
Yes, thank you, Board President Uranga. We do have some special welcomes and introductions. We have some retirees that we want to honor this evening. Once again, honoring the service of employees who have served this college for many, many years and really put their stamp on its 85-year history. And so let me begin with someone who has had a distinguished career here at Long Beach City College, recently inducted into Hall of Fame statewide for efforts playing softball a few years back. But her name is Donna Prindle, and she has served this college since September 1975 with over 38 years of service. Most recently as a professor in kinesiology, served as a head volleyball coach, head basketball coach, and of course has coached the college's team of rabbits for many, many years, and a very successful tenure here as coach of our rabbits. Our rabbits have appeared on the Today Show many times during Easter, and certainly it's because of her efforts that we've been able to care for our rabbits, and she has personally taken that and will certainly be part of her legacy as well. So please join me in congratulating Donna Prindle on her retirement. And Donna, would you mind coming up?
I almost brought a rabbit with me. I had one outside. It was visiting me today. We call him our school rabbit. He's our mascot. I just wanted to, thank everyone, tell you how grateful I am to have had the opportunity to teach and coach here. This has been a dream job for me. I think it's time to retire when you start teaching your students children. So I'm on my second generation of teaching, so it's kind of fun to see that happen. But I have great memories and have met really, really wonderful people, staff and students. So I'm not going anywhere. I'm retiring, but I'm still staying involved with the college because I really love it. This has been my home. Thank you.
Donna, we also have another individual who is retiring. He has served this college since February of 2001 with 12 years of service. Most recently as a director of financial aid, has helped support the needs of our students for many, many years. Many people don't realize that this college on any given semester either has the largest or second largest financial aid program of any college in the state of California. We have tremendous need, and we have a financial aid staff that serves that need in just a wonderful way. And I want to personally thank Richard Yanch for his service to this college, for his service to our students, and for providing them the opportunities that they need in order to succeed here at Long Beach City College. So, Richard, come on up.
I don't have much to say. I just want to thank everyone in the college for having the opportunity to work with a great bunch of people over the last 12 years and to have the opportunity to serve the college and the students in a very worthwhile endeavor. Thank you.
The next individual who's retiring, she has served this college since 1975, another 38 years of service in the licensed vocational nursing program as a licensed vocational nursing professor. Her name is Ivaselia Talastas. Is she here today? Oh, there we are. So, as I said, she served Long Beach City College as a professor of licensed vocational nursing, also worked at Cal State Long Beach, so has been in and around the Long Beach area for many, many years. So, want to thank you for your service to our students, for being in the wonderful vocational nursing program and serving the healthcare needs of so many people in our community. So, thank you for your service. And Ivaselia, come on up.
I'd like to say everything that I'd like to say, so just a few words, okay? Honorable President Oakley, Board of Trustees, administrators, and colleagues, it has been a great privilege for me to, for over 30 years, to be part of the college, to teach nursing students, utilize their heads, heart, and hands in their practice. And it is heartwarming to see former students practicing in the community successfully. And I look forward to move on to another phase of life. And I'm thankful and humbled to have been involved in a satisfying career. There are many here who I feel will carry the torch of teaching and nursing with pride, dedication, and honor. And I'm grateful for the opportunities given. I treasure the memories and relationships that were formed, and thank you all for being there, and may you all continue to find blessings in your life. Thank you again.
Thank you. There are several other retirees who could not be here this evening, and I want to have a chance to read their names for the record and for us to recognize them. So if you allow me to read through the list of names, and then let's give them a round of applause at the end. First, Linda Bell. She's a mathematics professor. She served Long Beach City College since 1994 as a professor of mathematics and has done a tremendous job working with our students throughout the years. Ralph De La Osa, he's a professor in administration of justice. Many of you know him. He's been very active throughout the college for many, many years and done just a wonderful job of serving our students in the administration of justice program. So I want to thank Ralph as well. Thomas Dustman, a music professor in the music program, has served Long Beach City College since 1982. As a professor of music, he will be missed as well by many, many of the music students in that program. Betty Martin. Betty is a communication studies professor, and everybody knows her for her smile. She always has just a great attitude, and no matter what's going on, she will always come up to you and ask you how you're doing, so she will be sorely missed as well. She just has a tremendous attitude. So if you can join me in a round of applause for all the faculty. And we also have other classified personnel that are retiring as well that I want to make sure and mention. Michelle Brown, Senior Administrative Assistant. Michelle has been with the college for 8 years and has served as a Senior Administrative Assistant and just done a tremendous job. She will be missed. Marianne McElroy in Child Development. She's a Child Development Center Associate Teacher, served the college since 2005. Again, she will be sorely missed. And then finally, someone many of our students know, Irene Pauley, Financial Aid Specialist, who has served this college since 1989 and just touched so many students' lives. So I want to thank her on behalf of all of our students. So please join me in a round of applause for them as well. And that's all I have.
Well, congratulations to all the retirees as they transition over to a new life, new endeavors, new adventures, and I hope that there's travel for you involved somewhere in there and to enjoy life as you certainly earned it for all the service that you've done. And thank you so much for your service to Long Beach City College over the years that you've done. Thank you again. Okay, we did ordering agenda. Before we continue, I just want to note that we had a passing of one of our most beloved friends in the community, and I'll let Trustee Kellogg say a little bit more about that. We want to close our meeting tonight in his memory.
I just would like to we'll adjourn the meeting with Charlie Westland. Charlie married to Meg. Meg was very involved with the college, as was Charlie, a longtime resident of the city, worked with from Douglas, McDonnell Douglas, Boeing, but also had a lot of love towards the college as well. So I would just like that we adjourn the meeting in his memory. His funeral was today. Had a great life, very strong individual. That I know. And probably the greatest thing about him was his love affair with his wife Meg and their involvement. So if I could just ask as we close our meeting, it'll be closing in the memory of Charles Westland, also known as Charlie.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay, report of Board of Trustees, resolution classified school employee week. This is an action item. Can I have a motion, please?
Move approval.
Yes, we did. I have a motion. Do I need a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay. Well, I'll look forward to your luncheon. I think it's next week, if I'm not mistaken. Right? Okay. And I'm looking forward to seeing our classified employees out there. As a former classified employee, I know what it's all about. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Committee reports. No committee reports. Okay, the student trustee is absent, so there will be no report this evening. Public comments on agenda items. I have no speaker cards, so I guess we shall move on to the next item, which would be the consent agenda. This is an action item. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Okay, that's the end of the consent agenda. Now we're on to the regular agenda and item 8.1, approval of certificates of accomplishment. This is an action item. Can I have a motion, please?
Second?
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion? All in favor? Oh, discussion? Okay. Trustee Otto.
Yeah, I'm looking at these certificates of completion, and I defer to the faculty about these things, programs that they want to offer. But you know, I'm trying to understand how the utility of these certificates of completion. They're not recognized by the Chancellor's office because they're not 18 units. And is there some way of validating that there's some utility to these programs? Can somebody help me?
Each of the applications, are, you know, like if you look at, once you pass the page that has your stuff on it,
Right.
and you get to like the first one, the second question actually kind of answers your question. So satisfactory completion of the certificate will prepare students for entry-level jobs in whatever. So each of these are ways of recognizing accomplishments at certain stages. And very often, I don't know if these particular ones do, but very often their AA degrees and transfer degrees are built on these. These are like a little step they can take towards, and sometimes this is all they're going for, you know, and that's been one of the things that was hard to do, to look at programs when people are coming in and they're just taking, they want to get a job in, for instance, in accounting, and all they need is some basic accounting courses. Well, this is saying, okay, we can give you the foundation for getting an entry-level job in accounting. And so we can say, okay, we got this many students through this. Not recognized by the state? Yes. But is it recognized by us? Yes. And we do this because and it only makes it through this committee if this would make any sense to the industry that this goes with.
Do we meet with advisory groups in industry to have them tell us what they take into consideration?
Yes.
Okay. And that happened for each of these programs, for each of these certificates?
I wish that program were here to answer that, but I can only tell you from the subcommittee that goes through, I have never known them to let things go through without that kind of background where they have, the groups have met with industry, there's a reason for it. Because a lot of these have been brought forward and they never made it past the committee because they were just kind of what you're saying, is this frivolous? It's not, these are not frivolous.
I'm not saying that these are frivolous whatsoever.
No, I'm saying you're asking if it is. And what I'm saying is that if it were, it would not have gotten through the committee, that this is a useful certificate. And the industry, right, can say, okay, if they get this certificate, they've taken these courses.
Mm-hmm. Well, that goes without saying, I think, because they have to take the courses to get the certificates. But, I mean, I look at the ones in political science and both general and global, and I've read the answers to the, or not the answers, but the, what it says possible jobs are. I just want to know more about the process. I can do that offline or out of this meeting, and so that I have a better understanding of it. But, and like I said at the beginning, I generally would defer completely to the faculty in making these kinds of determinations. I'm just curious as to how the process works, and I'll get more information about it.
I understand.
Thanks.
Okay, any more discussion on this item? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Item 8.2, revision of curriculum guide, associate degree for transfer. This is an action item. Can I have a motion, please?
Move approval.
Second?
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item?
I
April?
just
Dr.
wanna-
Waters?
I just want to point out that this is 2 more transfer degrees that our college is putting in there towards that 20 that we're aiming at right now.
So where are we now? What number? How many do we have at the present time?
14.
14, that's good. All right, excellent. Wonderful. Okay, any further discussion and questions? Okay, hearing none, we shall move the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes. 8.3, revision of curriculum guide, customer service help desk. This is also an action item. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Quick question, which is kind of the same question that I asked about the certificates. Is there a group that develops standards for customer service help desk industries? Sure, sure. Is there an industry standard or a group that promulgates what people who do customer service or help desk need to have? I mean, does that exist out there someplace, or I'm just curious?
So what are we looking at?
We're looking at.
I can sort of answer that just from the industry that I come from in regards to having individuals be qualified to perform customer service or help desk type work, that they receive some kind of at least 6 months of experience or education to offset the experience. So this type of certificate would definitely assist an individual who may be fresh out of high school, right straight into college, doesn't have any work experience, but has the book learning to do customer service or help desk. This certificate would definitely be helpful in presenting to an employer saying, I have so many credits or units in this area, and can this be qualifying education in lieu of experience? So it's very helpful in that respect.
This is not a certificate, though. This is an
In the guide?
AS degree.
Okay, then I had it all wrong.
Okay, but that's helpful.
But that's, I mean, basically,
It's pretty much what he said, except for like expanded. Okay.
still appropriate. Okay. Any more discussion, questions on that? All right, we have a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes. 8.4 is additional courses to general education plans for Econ 3. This is also an action item. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Have a motion and have a second. Any discussion on this item? Okay. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. 8.5, additional courses to general education plans for Learning 11. There's also an action item. Okay, have a motion, please.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you very much. Superintendent President's report. Superintendent Oakley.
Yes, thank you, Board President Uranga. I just have a couple of items. First, I want to thank the students who invited me to sit down at klbc.org, the best student internet radio station on the planet. I sat down with DJ Sugarfoot, with DJ Moose, with DJ Afro Grease and with Jesus Hernandez for a great time at the studio. So I want to thank them for taking the time to.
That won't be
sit down with me.
Chewy from Longo?
No, although they asked me if I used to listen to War. I told them, no, that's Board President Uranga. So I just wanted to acknowledge our students at klbc.org for a great time last Thursday. Just want to remind everyone that commencement is around the corner, June 6th. We're busily preparing to celebrate the success of our students and the achievements of our faculty, so I hope everyone who can be there will be there, especially the students who have achieved a certificate or degree. I hope you take the time to walk and to be present at the ceremony. This is your chance to celebrate and our chance to celebrate your achievements. So I hope that you're there. Finally, I want to comment on the governor's May revision today. Was released earlier today in Sacramento. I actually had a chance to listen in almost live. We have released a statement to the press, which make available to the board. We'll have more detail later once Vice President Gable has a chance to dig through the May revise. But in general, I'm very thankful to the governor for making public education a priority in this May revision. He has made a significant commitment to reinvesting in public education, in particular the K-12 system, which we certainly support, and that investment will certainly help Long Beach Unified and many other school districts who send their students to Long Beach City College. The governor has also made a commitment to paying down the deferment. For many, many years, the college has experienced deferrals in revenue. The state of California owes Long Beach City College around $25 million. And the governor has made a commitment to paying down as much of that deferral as possible. And we think that that is a good thing for the system. In the long term, it will allow for more stability in our finances going forward. It essentially means that the state is going to be paying off the credit card it has used to finance our colleges. And for that, we are thankful. He has also made additional resources available to fund student success through categorical funds to help fund the programs and services like the Promise Pathways that help us reach more students and help us work with those students to ensure that they're successful in the classes they're enrolled in. The budget does provide some support for additional resources for the college's general purposes. We feel that is a step in the right direction. It's still far short of what we need to meet the demand of the college, but it is a step in the right direction, and I'm particularly pleased that the governor has set aside additional resources to pay down the deferment. That will be a good thing for Long Beach City College in future years. As revenues go up in the state over the next 3, 4, 5 years, we will actually be able to get a hold of those resources because the state will no longer have to pay back money owed. So we're very grateful for that. We will have more detail about the May revision as it works its way through the Chancellor's office and we get more detail on exactly what it means to Long Beach City College. But in general, we can say that there will be more money put to paying off the credit card and more money put to helping students complete their certificates and degrees and to transfer. And that's all I have.
Thank you. We certainly are looking forward to graduation this year as we do every year. Thank you very much. I also want to note that the nursing program will be holding their graduation fairly soon as well. What date is that, Jackie, do you recall?
I believe that's the Monday before commencement.
It's a Tuesday.
Or the Tuesday.
Yeah, okay. 31st, May 31st. I think I found it. Moving forward, academic affairs, item 10.1, child care fee increases 2013-14. This is an action item.
Move approval.
Can I have a motion? Can I have a second, please?
Second.
A motion and a second. Discussion. Trustee Clark.
Mr. President, how much of an increase do we have in the, we don't note it
It's 5%.
otherwise?
Dollar-wise, I'd have to ask our, yeah, I think it is in the report. We'll grab it for you, Tom.
Okay, it increased by 5%. Okay, that's sufficient. All right, I didn't see that. Okay.
Yes, so the fees are listed in the action item under where it says children age 2 to 3 and age 3 to 5. You see the per session fees and the full-time weekly rate on that item.
Yeah, the fees increased by $5 from 95 to 100, from 20 to 25. Okay. Any more discussion on this item? Okay, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes. Item 11.1, annual approval for student trustee to receive compensation for board meetings. This is an action item.
Move approval.
I have a motion. Can I have a second? Motion and second. This is for 2014, yes. 2013-14. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? Okay, hearing none, we'll take the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. 11.2, Promise Pathways Alternative Placement Presentation. This is an information item.
Yes, Board President Uranga, I'd like to ask Dr. Peterson to give us an update on where we're at with the alternative placement model that we put into place this last year as part of the Promise Pathway Initiative. As you know, going to many conferences that trustees have attended, alternative placement has been a big issue throughout the nation, and Long Beach City College has been in a leadership role working with the faculty in English and math who've done a tremendous job of helping our students be placed in a manner that's consistent with their experience coming out of high school. We continue to look at the data and continue to adjust the placement models, so I wanted to have Dr. Peterson give a report on what it will look like going forward for the fall of 2013. Dr. Peterson.
So we'll do a quick presentation to show what we had implemented this last year and then what changes will be made for the following year. Our first big change is, as promised, we will continue to grow Promise Pathways to increase the number of students who are participating. This last year, for our first cohort, we had 966 students from Long Beach Unified. Because of the success of the program, we've seen an increase in the number of students from Long Beach Unified who have applied to participate. So as of now, we're up to almost 1,200, and we anticipate more than that from our last early bird that occurred last Saturday. In addition, we've invited Bellflower and Paramount Unified School Districts to participate, and you can see between them we have about 200 students who would be participating. So we are increasing, we anticipate an increase of about 400 to 500 additional students this coming year in Promise Pathways. The three programs that we did, we ran pilots this last year, were an alternative placement, our themed reading course pilot, and the success course and achievement coaches pilot. As you might recall, we came earlier and provided the data from our alternative placement from the first semester for English. I just wanted to share that again with you. You can see that Promise Pathways using the alternative placement model, and that really was looking at performance in high school and using previous performance to place students to best predict where they would be successful in their courses. You can see that we were able to significantly increase the number of students who took English 1, which is transfer level English, their first semester, and then successfully completed. And this reflects two things. This reflects the fact that we used an alternative placement model, and it also reflects the fact that we guaranteed those courses and then required students to take their English, math, and reading their first semester. And before, we had about 50% of Long Beach Unified students who would take math or English their first semester. So as you might remember, this last year, the pilot we used in alternative placement for English was any student who earned a grade of an A or a B in their senior year English class during the second semester was placed into transfer level English. There were, as we reviewed that, we felt that that needed to be modified to improve the success rates of students going in there. You can see it was very successful, but there were some students who were placed who needed additional support. So the new model for 2013-14 will use a multivariable formula that will look at the grade in English, their overall GPA, and their California Standard English scores from the 11th grade. We will also be using, for students who fall in a gray area between their performance on the AccuPlace or our standardized test and their alternative placement, we'll be using smaller sections, what we're calling this P English 11, which will give us a chance to do some advanced assessment and support in smaller groups to help students be more successful moving through. So it's another another structure that the English department came up with to support student success moving through the sequence. For math, you'll notice again that we saw similar results in looking at alternative placement and success in increasing the number of students who attempted transfer level math the first semester and then successfully completed it. We are working through our symposiums, through conversations, we're working with Long Beach Unified School District to increase the number of students who take 3 to 4 years of math, so we will see these numbers increase as they come to us. And we used this last year, again, a multivariable formula that was a combination of the last math course the student had taken, their grade in the last math class, if they took the 11th grade math CST score, and then their overall GPA in math and their overall GPA. As we reviewed that, the math department felt that that was a strong formula, and so we have held it in place for the next year. I want to also give a brief update on what we're doing with our other two pilots. So if you recall, for this last year for reading, what we did is we broke our group of students into a third. So a third of the students were placed into which was a linked course, a paired course between a reading section and an elective course, really contextualizing the learning in the reading course. A third were placed into our traditional reading course without the elective, and then a third were not placed into reading their first semester. And we did that across 3 levels of our developmental reading sequence, reading 80, 82, 83, and read 82. This we will be modifying. We learned that that there was a connection, that contextualizing reading did have an impact, that students were more successful in their elective course that they took. And so this next year we'll be expanding that pilot to a more themed model. So taking a reading course and having it themed to a certain course subject area, so it could relate to multiple sections to serve a larger number of students. So we'll be doing that for the Read 82 courses for this next year. We also had students take a success course. They took either our Counseling 1 or Orientation to College or our Learn 11 Study Skills course in the fall and the spring semesters this last year. And half of the students were randomly selected to work with our achievement coaches, which was our mentoring model. This coming year for our second cohort, we have determined, last year we decided that students would take just English and math. Some of them didn't take reading. They took 2 of the 3 fundamental courses. We decided that this next cohort will take all of their fundamental coursework their first semester, so they'll be taking English, math, and reading. Therefore, we determined that we would use our 1-unit success courses, counseling, 1 orientation, and then we, as a team, looked at trying to increase the number of students who identify a major earlier in their career here at Long Beach City College. So we're able to give them a comprehensive student education plan, that pathway that they need. So we will have students who are undecided participate in Counseling 48, which is our career development course, our career exploration course. We're still looking at the data from our Achievement Coach pilot from this last year, and we'll be looking to see how we can target students who would benefit most from that pilot for the coming year. I wanted to share some of the work that we're doing across institutions, just to make you again aware of. Part of our work with Promise Pathways, we've been holding faculty symposiums involving faculty from Long Beach Unified, from Cal State Long Beach, and our faculty in departments across English, math, reading, history. We brought in this last sciences. We brought in this last time. Our last symposium focused on the changes that are occurring around the Common Core in K-12, and we had some really great conversations there, and we'll continue those conversations in the future. We continue to work closely with Long Beach Unified in our data sharing with our students, in identifying ways we can partner on grants, in moving forward the career pathways development, and as well as in trying to increase the number of students who are taking more years of math and are successfully moving through math in the K-12 sequence. Some of the things we're looking at math collaboration that Long Beach Unified has requested are to replicate our math workshop we successfully held during the winter intersession for our students, and to look at other pathways for students through math. For California State University Long Beach, we continue to look at opportunities to partner on grants. And if you remember, this last year, CSU Long Beach changed their admission criteria, which resulted in a group of Long Beach Unified students who normally would have been admitted into Cal State Long Beach not meeting the new admissions criteria. We partnered with CSU Long Beach, and we will be hosting a Beach Pathways cohort for starting in fall 2013 for those students. Right now we have approximately 32 that have expressed interest. If they meet certain criteria in GPA and completing some of the basic general transfer requirements, they will be, after 3 semesters, they will be automatically admitted into CSU Long Beach. So we want to thank you for your support of the work we're doing with Promise Pathways, and then answer any questions you might have.
Trustees, any questions, comments regarding this report? Sounds very good, very informative, and keep at it.
Trustee Uranga, if I may interject just for a second, I forgot to thank somebody as part of my report, and I think it's important that I take a moment. I want to thank Karen Roberts and the part-time faculty union. We reached agreement with them in negotiations on a 3-year contract, so I want to thank her for her leadership. It's a thankless job. And she's done a wonderful job of representing the part-time faculty. So I just wanted to say that before we get too far down the line.
Thank you. Okay. Item 12.8, Administrative Services. This is an informative item. It's the 2012-2013 third quarter budget performance report. Vice President Gable.
Yes, and I'll walk you through the numbers from your board packet. So starting on page 1, this report is as of March 31st, 2013, so it represents 3 quarters of the year of our activity. And as is you're accustomed to seeing, we have the adopted budget, the current budget, so that means the budget as of March 31st, and the actual as of March 31st, so that's all of the revenue that has been received and the expenditures that have been incurred as of that date, and then the projected year end. And this is our best estimate at this point in time of where we think we'll end the year. And then the two variance columns, one of them in dollar amounts, the other one in percentages, is a comparison of the current budget to the projected year end. So just covering some of the highlights there on page 1. Under the state apportionment, you will see a new line there that includes the education protection account. So that's the money that is set aside at the state for Long Beach Community College District in relation to the Proposition 30 monies. So you see that we are estimated to receive $15,574,550. But more importantly, in there, as we always do, we have the subtotal of the total state apportionment, and that subtotal represents the amount of money that is available to us from our funded FTES that the college generates. So when we adopted our budget, we were under the assumption that we would receive $93,608,000. As of March 31st, based upon the information and from the State Chancellor's Office, we currently are estimating to receive $89,603,000. The Education Protection Account is a component of that. It's not completely new money to us, but it is a component of what the state owes us based upon our FTES that is generated. So you see that from our adopted budget, which equals our current budget, we are currently estimating, based upon the information provided to us from the Chancellor's Office, that we'll receive $4 million, almost $5,000 less than what we had put into the budget. There's a couple factors causing that. The main one is what's called the deficit factor that the state imposes on the district. And the deficit factor is a calculation that the state does at any time when either the property taxes and or enrollment fees don't come in at the level that the state has budgeted for the entire community college system. So at the what we call the P1 or period 1 reporting that the Chancellor's Office gave us back on March 8th, they had calculated that deficit factor at 6.27%. Which was almost $6 million for Long Beach City College that the state is not paying us because the property taxes did not come in at the level that the state anticipated during that reporting period. The offset to that is, you may recall in our budget, we budget for a 1% deficit factor. So this 6.27 is 5.27 more than we had anticipated, which is about $5 million loss in revenue. And then the other $1 million change to get to that $4 million loss in revenue was that the state did provide some restoration money of about $1 million. So that's what makes up the difference there. So that is really the primary difference on our revenues. You'll see there on page 1 that we did receive about $117,000 more than we had budgeted in our mandated cost reimbursement, and that is really just a function of the state. They freed up some additional one-time money and paid the district on back debts that are owed from mandated cost reimbursements for that. Moving on to page 2. There at the top, we continue with local revenues. You'll see that our revenues are coming in slightly higher than what we had anticipated in our international student fees and our non-resident tuition fees, as well as some of our other local revenue. So our total local revenue at this point, we're estimating that we'll receive about $500,000 more than what we had originally budgeted. And then there down at the bottom of page 2, total revenue and other sources, combining those changes with the loss in revenue from our state apportionment. Overall, we are projecting that we'll receive $2,996,000 less than what our current budget is at this point in time. So the total revenue we're projecting to receive is $97,834,000. Moving on to page 3 of the report, this is where we start with our expenditures. And again, they're broken down by major type of expenditure. So we have our academic salaries is the first grouping there. We have budgeted to spend $44.2 million on academic salaries as of March 31st. We are projecting that we will end the year spending about $43 million on academic salaries for a savings of almost $1.2 million. That is primarily due to vacancies that have occurred throughout the year, either mid-year retirements or leaves of absence without pay. And then there's also been fewer subs that have been needed and just better efficiency all around on some of the academic hourly salaries there. The next group of expenditures are classified salaries. And again, our budget is $22.5 million for our classified salaries. We're projecting to spend just under $22 million on classified salaries for a savings of about $500,000. And that is entirely due to vacancies that have occurred throughout the year within the classified ranks. The next grouping are our benefits, and since our salaries, both academic and classified, are projected to go down, our benefits are a function of the salaries, and so you see that we are projecting a savings in our benefits of about $589,000 at this point. On page 4, you see a whole bunch of zeros in the variance column, and that's because we're still expecting and anticipating that the departments will spend all of their budget, and so that's what we've done, is we've just projected that they will spend what's been allocated to them before the year end is up. So that takes us to page 5 of the report. So you see, if we go down almost to the bottom where it's total expenditures and other outgo, our current budget is that we'll spend $101.9 million. We're anticipating that we will spend $99.6 million for a savings of just under $2.3 million, and that's based upon primarily related to the salaries and benefits that I mentioned previously. So our operating deficit is looking worse because of the loss in revenue that we discussed as well. So when we adopted our budget, we thought that we would deficit spend by $1,268,000. At this point in time, we're projecting that we're going to deficit spend by $1,774,000 for an increase in our deficit spending of about $720,000. That does impact our ending fund balance. So rather than having an ending balance of about $13.8 million, we're projecting that our ending balance will be just under $13.1 million. So that concludes my report. If there's any questions.
Dr. Clark.
Yeah, let me ask, given that we're looking at a fairly significant deficit, this is the third quarter, how much possibility we have of making that up, and if not, what reserves do we have to offset the deficit?
Well, currently we're projecting that we'll have $13 million in our ending balance. That would be able to offset any deficit that we have. You know, it's likely that our deficit won't be as large when we get to the end of the fiscal year. And, you know, I need to really analyze the May revise further. But part of the driving factor for the 6.27% deficit factor that the state applied at the P1 reporting period back on March 8th was due to the property taxes collected from the redevelopment agencies, or actually the lack of property taxes collected from the redevelopment agencies. So since all of that money didn't come in from the redevelopment agencies, the Chancellor's Office applied a deficit factor to the community colleges to offset that. Now, I've read a couple pieces of information indicating that in the May revise, the governor has asserted that any loss in property taxes due to redevelopment agencies will be backfilled, but we haven't seen that yet. But there still is a discrepancy between what the Chancellor's office says has been collected and what the Department of Finance says has been collected by about $150 million that they're trying to reconcile between the two entities up in Sacramento. So we're hoping that that deficit factor will come in or come down by year end, and at our P2 reporting, which we get in mid to late June. But at this point in time, we don't know if it will, or if it will, by how much.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Go ahead, Mr. Kellogg.
It really is a question that will connect from Anne Marie, your report, to what came up earlier during the President's report. And it's a question because I get a lot of these questions about how we budget, how we plan. And I have to tell you, I think that we spend as a board, and just myself, a tremendous amount of time trying to look at projections, forecasts, what they are going to do, what they aren't going to do, they meaning the state of California. So my question would probably be more towards President Oakley on this, because if people are listening, we started the conversation with that the state budget, as presented by the governor, is looking at very optimistically that there's going to be more money coming in. Therefore, why would colleges be cutting programs at a time like this? Now, I'm doing that as an open-ended because we have been doing that for, I think, very, very good, solid reasons, because we are looking at this budget in a very detailed way. So whoever wants to take a shot on that one, because that's a question that comes back to us too many times. I will answer one thing, it's one thing for the governor to give what he believes the budget projections are going to be. We also have to calculate, for example, the legislative leadership. I was hearing their comments, and their comments was to spend a lot of money in a lot of areas. And I didn't hear higher education because they feel that the Prop 30 debate backfilled that area enough. And even though we've had this repeatedly, that it didn't do enough to cover all of our costs. But I didn't hear anything from the legislative leadership that they're going to look to put any additional funds into higher education. It was more going to go into a lot of other areas in the social areas. And the governor is trying to put a reserve, a famous reserve, like we argue. So my question would be, here we are, the budget, and how would you answer that to the public who come forward? Why did we make these cuts? Why didn't we just wait? Because the money is now here. Why we go through this long process? And a lot of people don't understand that we did go through a very long process on the discontinuance, for example, a very long process on that one. So I'm just curious, because these reports, we're obviously not getting the money. We're still not flush. And so we hear this about the budget. So the response would be to, as we're out in the public trying to respond to that?
I'd be happy to try to answer that question. And it can be complicated because we're talking about different budget years. Anne Marie's report is the budget performance for the 12-13 budget. The governor's May revision is his revision to the 13-14 budget that the legislature is acting on as we speak. First of all, you're correct, Jeff. The governor proposes a budget. The legislature acts on the budget. So we have a ways to go. The legislature has certain priorities. The governor has certain priorities. And then hopefully the two shall meet at some point in time, and the governor will sign a budget. But first of all, let me clearly characterize what the governor is saying. The governor is not saying that he's going to provide us additional general fund dollars above what's already in the budget, which is about a 1.57% COLA and about a 1.5 or so % growth, which is not a whole lot of money for the college to offer more courses. That's already been worked into next year's budget. Where the governor is putting the additional money that is available, first of all, primarily into the K-12 system. That's where the chunk, as many of you have heard, there's an additional $4 billion or so that has been collected in tax revenue. That money is primarily going into the K-12 system to fund several of his priorities in the K-12 system, like local control funding formula and the Common Core standards. There is a chunk of money going into the community colleges. That money is going into two places. One, to pay down the money owed to us, the deferments, so that doesn't increase our revenue. That just increases the amount of the revenue that's available to us in resources. So there's a difference there. And then he's putting more money into the matriculation, or what we call now the Student Success Fund, which is a categorical fund which is used to pay for programs and services to support the needs of students who are already continuing students here. And so it would help fund many of the programs we've talked about: student success centers, promise pathways, student services, not to increase access to classes. So that's where those resources are going. To put it in perspective, the amount of revenue that the K-12 and community colleges have lost, community colleges is about $1.5 billion over the last 3 or 4 years. K-12 is somewhere in the area of, I believe, 18, 20 billion. If all the revenue from Prop 30 comes in as expected, it would generate $17 billion, which is significantly short of the total amount of loss to both the K-12 and community college system over the last 4 years. So over the next 5 to 7 years, revenues for both systems will increase, but they will not get us back to the levels we were in 2007-8 on that alone. So it's going to take several years to get back to the kind of access we had in 2007-8. So we will still be far short of those resources for the next several years. So that's why we're having to continue to take action. We still have 2,000 sections less today than we offered 4 years ago. So those are the things that we're dealing with. Yes, the news is good that the economy is starting to show signs. The governor is paying off the wall of debt, as he described, that has been plaguing this state for a long time, and that is good for us as well, because we will finally get to a point when we can actually use the revenue that's generated for services and not for paying off debt. But we are only at the beginning of this climb back out of the hole, and we've got several years to go.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, that was an informative item. Item 12.9 is the 2012-2013 CCFS 3/11 third quarter financial status report. This is an action item. Can I have a motion, please?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Comments on that? No? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes. 12.10, Education Protection Account Funding and Expenditures, Prop 30, the Schools and Local Public Safety Act of 2012. This is also an action item. Can I have a motion, please?
Move approval.
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded. Any discussion on this item? Okay, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes. 12.11, Revised District Policy 6003. This is also an action item. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? Okay, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes. Item 12.12 is an informative item. It's a revised regulation 6003, purchasing and materials. So we will be reviewing that information for a later date. 12.13, revised district policy 6008, delegation of authority for general business. This is an action item.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none. Motion passes. Item 12.14, revised district policy 6009, bids and contracts. This is also an action item.
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. 12.15 is revised regulation 6009, bids and contracts. This is the informative item to the previous motion, so we shall look at that and bring it back at another time. 12.16 is a new district policy, 6013. This is an action item, auxiliary organization operations.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, motion passes.
You got to call for the vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I call the vote?
No.
I didn't call for the vote?
No, you just
All in
said-
favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you for, you caught that. It's got an automatic pilot. 12.17 is a new regulation, 6013. This is auxiliary operations, organization operations. This is informative item. This will be back. Okay. Pacific Coast Campus, no items, no report. Academic Senate. Dr. Juarez, no report. Trustee Communications. Trustee Kellogg.
At the, thank you. At the last meeting, I just want to sort of close the loop on a question came up during the discussion. Lots of questions came up, but I specifically on two areas. There was one in particular, and I just wanted to follow through because I said I would do the best to look into it. And that was a question on how, at the time, one of our programs, aircraft maintenance, was being rated. It was made the statement it was in the top 5%, according to, as someone in the audience yelled out, it's in the top 5%. And didn't know where that was, where that came from. So at least, and I appreciate if you're the one that sent this, it's just I want to make a full circle on it. Then it was this was given to, this is on, and so what I did, I went back and I checked with the FAA to see, indeed, do they rate programs as a whole. The best way I can explain it, if you go into many of the national magazines, you'll see colleges rated, and there's a whole criteria on how they get to these ratings, et cetera. And you see that quite a few. So when I heard this, and I've heard it repeatedly, I wanted to figure out, is indeed that listing exist, and what are the criteria? And someone did drop this off, and I appreciate the fact that something did come back, because I could find nothing that would really point to it. And this was where, if I read it properly, it's on testing for computer test school norm versus national norm, general test, airframe test, and PowerPoint test, and in power plant. My apologies. And it is where current quarter, and they go through, and then in a 2-year cumulative, it shows the national norm for Long Beach Community College on these tests run at, it shows 95%, so that's pretty easy to look at. So this is what I am assuming was being, when the comment was made, we are rated in the top 5% nationally, then it was assuming this was the report they were referencing to, the taking of these tests on a national level. So I appreciate at least finding some information that points to that statement. It's a little bit different than when someone just generally says the FAA rates aircraft maintenance programs, which I couldn't find anything on that would list anything. And so this information, I wanted to just make full circle that somebody did at least drop it off, because I was finding absolutely nothing. And this is what the reference was to with taking these tests. So I appreciate that. And I just wanted to say what I said I was going to do and report back to you on that. Thank you.
Any other trustee reports? Communications? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. New business, I don't think I heard anything for this evening in regards to new business for a future agenda. Future reports, same. I don't think I heard anything this evening that would trigger another report for later on. Okay, we are now at public comments and agenda items. At their request, members of the public will be given the opportunity to address the Board of Trustees on matters of general district business. This is a time for members of the public to speak and be heard and share their comments with the board, and for the board to listen. Therefore, the public should not expect the board to comment or respond to public comments. A particular position should not be inferred if there are no board member comments during this time. A total of 5 minutes will be allotted to each subject unless extended by the board president. After receiving testimony, the board may recommend placing such items on the agenda of a future meeting or referring the items to staff or report. I have three, excuse me? Trustee
Excuse
Otto.
me, I actually did have a trustee comment.
Oh.
And I apologize, it was sitting right here. Our student trustee isn't here, but quite frankly, regularly doesn't give any reports about what the ASB is doing. And so I've taken that upon myself as a responsibility, because there's oftentimes a lot of things going on in campus that people should know about. And so here's the ASB update for this week. Last week, we had 2 blood drives at the Pacific Coast campus that hit over 113% of their goal in terms of donated pints of blood. Second, the Cultural Affairs Council at PCC and LAC both had celebrations for Cinco de Mayo that educated students on the history of the holiday and then fed them great food, and both of those events were a great success. Then the ASB, with student council and clubs, will be putting together a float and a marching in the Long Beach Gay Pride Parade, which is coming up this Sunday on Ocean Boulevard in Long Beach. Fourth, on Tuesday, May 28th, from 3 to 5 p.m. is the Spring Awards reception at the Grand there on Willow in Long Beach. You're invited. Fifth, on Friday, May 31st, the ASB Cabinet and PCC Student Council Spring Banquet is from 5 to 8 p.m., so any of you that can attend, please come. And finally, the Spring Sing was on Friday, May 3rd. It was a great success in its new location in the Hall of Champions, and congratulations to everybody that participated in that event, because that's an annual event at Long Beach City College that people enjoy. That's it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Otto. Okay, I have, continuing with the public comments on non-agenda items. First up, I have Karen Roberts, and she is part of staff with the part-time faculty update.
Good evening, President Oakley and Board of Trustee members. Yes, so I just wanted to give you a brief update that our CHI negotiations team has reached a tentative agreement with the district over a new contract, and we'll be meeting to work out the language on that. It's always contentious in negotiations. I do want to thank our chief negotiator was Cindy Fry, and the other 2 members of our team, Carol Sable and Mara Casey. We were able to reach a middle ground on a few issues that were very important to part-time faculty, and I appreciate the district coming to the table to bargain in good faith with us. As we wind down the semester, I want to remind part-time faculty that they can apply for unemployment or reduced employment benefits. And I was thinking about this, and I really wanted to express my appreciation to Human Resources for working with us on this issue. I often hear horror stories from other colleges where part-time faculty's unemployment have been mishandled because HR has given the wrong information. So I think it speaks to the fact that we've had really good communication between us and HR on that level. I also want to express my appreciation to the district for giving free cap and gown rental to 7 part-time faculty, which will enable them to attend graduation ceremonies. Those part-time faculty were very, very grateful and are looking forward to attending. I also want to thank the full-time faculty for inviting the part-time faculty to your pre-graduation festivities. That's very generous. Thank you very much. And as I was sort of writing this up, I was thinking about, wow, I seem to be having a very, one of those days where I'm very appreciative. I wonder why that is. And I think I've been in sort of a reflective mode since my 2-year term is winding down. And I've been thinking that, you know, we revived CHI about 4.5 years ago, and it's been a steep learning curve, but, you know, we have made great strides, I think, over the past 4.5 and 5 years. So I'm throwing my hat back in the ring. We'll see what happens, and I'll keep you posted. Thank you.
I want to thank you very much, because that you were very important to this this college, and I don't recall in the years I've been here that we've had a representative of the part-time faculty or the adjunct faculty. So I think you've done an excellent job, and I appreciate it, because you are important, very important.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Trustee Kellogg?
Yeah, and we had an opportunity to sit down a week ago, I believe, and without, this probably will hurt your chances more than help when anyone says anything nice about you from this side, because as I mentioned, though, that as Trustee Clark, I probably couldn't even name the person because I never met with them. And they never called me, and so it was refreshing at least for someone to talk to me about the issues, about what's going on from your perspective, and it's very valuable. I mean, communication is a key in any negotiations, and the fact you're willing to do it and represent a very important segment of our college, obviously. You know, the adjunct faculties have a tremendous amount of responsibilities here, so I also would like to thank you for all your effort you stated with it, and the fact you were just willing to communicate and express what is taking place, and from your perspective. So I think it was very valuable, and I think as I mentioned when we were having, I appreciate how you went about and handled yourself. Now, when we met, the contract had already been been agreed upon, tentatively agreed upon, so nobody could accuse us of coming up with some great deal sitting there over coffee. But I mentioned, and what I think was important is how people handle themselves, because I always use this as a scenario for a person who's no longer with the college, but on the day they approved the contract, they came to the podium, and this was the person that negotiated the contract, or that segment, and complained and talked how bad it was and everything else. And I was just sitting here thinking, that's the person that negotiated on behalf of that group. And to come here and now do that is basically you're saying that you were incompetent, because so I appreciate how you went about the business, and you did a good job, and hopefully we will have better times for everybody. But I do appreciate when people do the simplest things of all, pick up the phone and talk to us. And particularly in my case, you picked up the phone and talked to me about what was going on. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And good luck. Okay, next up is Andrea Donado. She's going to speak about AB 955.
Bonnie's opposed to that.
Yeah.
She's against it. Yeah.
When you have all the unions.
Good afternoon, members of the board, President. So, first, with your permission and following the line of the event, Civic Engagement Club is projecting a movie on Chicano for better understanding of what the Chicano movement was. So, if you're interested, you can come, or members of the public. So, getting to business. When I'm speaking on AB 955, this bill will affect the students at Long Beach City College. More than 80% of the students have the possibility to come and get classes in the college thanks to the financial aid they receive. So that means that they don't have enough money to pay higher costs in the tuition. This bill will be pushing the students of Long Beach City College out of the system, because it's not promoting the education. It's not promoting equity. This bill will just allow students who can afford those high costs to come to summer and winter sessions. And I just was curious, Oakley was thanking Governor Brown for the revenues that are coming for our college, and seems like we are getting good news from Sacramento. So why will be supporting a bit like this one at this point? The Faculty Association of California Community College and students leaders of California Community Colleges, plus CAST and other districts, have already taken a stance on opposition to this bill. So I would like to ask this board to think in the students and also take a stand of opposition to this bill. Thank you.
What is the bill? 955.
Okay, the next three items are under the context of discontinuance of 3 items, 5 minutes. We'll go 3 minutes each. Let's move to 10 minutes. 10 minutes for this discussion. First, I have Rose Vance on aviation maintenance, John Kindred on meetings on campus, May 7 and 9, and Marshawn Frazier on program discontinuance.
Good evening, members of the board. I just wanted to let you know that I did pass out 4 items of information that I would like to go on the record and also be recorded for the public to gain access to. The very first packet of information on top was the FAA information that Mr. Kellogg, you said you were unable to find. It's actually pretty easy to navigate the FAA's website. So unfortunately, I don't know what the hang up is with people not being able to find this information. But this information not only was given to you this evening, but it was also given to you guys in a packet of information that was handed out last year. Also, all of this information was emailed as well last year to all staff. So I'm not quite sure why you guys are having a hard time finding this information. Just to give you a little understanding on how to read these graphs, if you fall below the national norm, and I highlighted on there as the orange column, you want to fall below the national norm. We fall below the national norm on 34 of the 44 subject areas. One, we meet exactly the same as the national norm, and the other 9, we are above the national norm. So overall, of all of the colleges, private, I should say all of the institutions, private and public or community colleges that offer the AMP or Aviation Maintenance Program, AMP program, we actually do a lot better than the national norm is required. That's why a lot of us decided to come here to Long Beach to obtain our certification for the AMP program. The second item of information that I handed out was this paper here, FAA Safety. This actually goes in and talks about the job growth actually for our industry. On the second page, it's highlighted off to the side in yellow. It says, according to the 2012 Boeing Pilot and Technician Outlook, an expected 92,500 additional AMTs will be needed by 2031 in order to meet the demands of the industry. These, however, are only the North American numbers. Globally, these numbers climb towards 601,100. Please read the rest of this article. It goes on to talk about, the fix, how to get more people interested in the industry. Mr. Oakley, you had the privilege of meeting one of the other females in my program, a wonderful young lady by the name of Elizabeth Tobon. She actually is a teacher for an after-school program with elementary school-aged children. She is trying to help get the word out about aviation maintenance, especially for the females. She spends a lot of her time with her children talking about what she's learning in school. And a lot of the children, when they found out that this program's being discontinued, were extremely disheartened, especially a lot of the ethnic females that she comes in contact with. On the back page, it talks about, it says, today's maintenance schools boast the highest postgraduate placement rates and with an AMP certificate in their back pocket. At the very end of the article, it says, aviation maintenance remains a viable and dynamic career choice for anyone who thinks troubleshooting faulty signal relays and repacking engines sounds like total bliss, and where the art of painstakingly restoring vintage aircraft to their full glory as a wonderful day well spent. Both of these opportunities exist. You just need your license to skill. So I would really appreciate you guys take a look at that article. It clearly states our numbers for job growth. I have also included Boeing's 2012 Pilot and Technician Outlook. This was a report that Boeing put out themselves regarding numbers. If you go to page number 4 on Boeing's list, the 2012 Technician Outlook. The graph is a little bit dark, but if you'd like, I would be more than happy to email you the link to this so you can see it in color. But I would like for you guys to focus on the total number, the 6,001 number that they've got for the total technicians. And it breaks it down by Asian Pacific, Europe, North America, Mideast, Latin America, CIS, and Africa. I do need to clarify for you guys, because I'm sure a lot of you are unaware, that all of these regions have to come to U.S. soil to obtain their FAA certification for their airframe and power plant. Long Beach City College happens to be in the best location in order to serve these people. So that gives you a general idea of how many people will be coming into the industry. And these are conservative numbers, just to clarify. But these are how many students you could be offering these programs to that now will have to go elsewhere for their education unless you rescind canceling and discontinuing the programs. The last piece of paper that I would like to bring to your attention is actually on administrative costs, and that was a number you guys were asking about how Jason came up with some of those numbers for the administrative costs. I got this directly off the college's website, so if you guys were unaware of this number or where he got it from, there's really no excuse. It was on the college website. On another matter, Mr. Oakley, I want to thank you for coming out and speaking with the trade students here at the campus and over at PCC. But I was a little dumbfounded when you cited Boeing as not hiring AMPs. Boeing's a manufacturer. There's a huge difference between manufacturing and maintenance. Citing Boeing as your main source for figuring out if the industry is going to be hiring AMPs is kind of like calling a preschool and asking them if they would hire an auto mechanic without any childcare experience to be a childcare provider for them. One person or one company in the immediate area that you may want to speak with would be Gulfstream, because they specifically hire persons with a background or certification in airframe and power plant. However, they are a manufacturer.
Rose, you have some individuals behind you, please.
I understand that. Dr. Peterson, I also want to let you know that not all of our aviation credits will transfer over. I continue to say this, and for whatever reason, you guys still don't quite understand the aviation maintenance process. All of our credits will not transfer for all of the students that are in the program, not just the ones that have completed general and airframe. All of the students in the program have credits that will not be transferring over.
How many minutes has she been on?
And the last minute thing that I would like to state is that
okay, I'm going to have to cut you off at this point. You've been on for 8.5 minutes. It's 5 minutes per topic. I gave it 10. The individuals behind you now are not having the opportunity to speak, so I think you said enough. We've heard you. We understand. We appreciate the documents that you gave us. It's information that we certainly find useful and informative. However, we have 2 more individuals that we need to hear from. You took a lot of time.
And I'd also like to invite the students to come out and
now
vote
I'm being respectful here. I want you to finish. You need to sit down.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good. Where are we at, Madam Secretary, with time? Okay, out of respect for you guys, because I like you, and I think you have something important to say, I'm going to give you your 3 minutes, okay? But keep in mind, again, you have someone behind you, and we want to be as respectful as we possibly can. I didn't realize that Rose was going to take so long. Otherwise, we would have cut her off a long time ago to give you your opportunity. But in the future, that's what's going to happen. I'm going to have to just cut it off because I want to give everybody an opportunity to speak, and we can't be extending the time every time. Okay? So go ahead, John.
Okay, I want to start back from last Wednesday when Oakley came out. I stood up against the wall and sat down for about 20 minutes with my arms up as you passed over me and let 15 other people talk. I had to go in front of the podium to cut in. And then the way you came on when you addressed me was very inappropriate for somebody at church stature. Now, this whole meeting was filmed by people with cameras and their phones. And then when people talk to you about the cuts, one gentleman was a engineer in aviation and in aerospace. And he told you he's the kind of person that he's considered a numbers geek. And he asked you, who do you think, when people like him design aircraft or anything, who's going to fix it and build it? People in aviation. And then I asked you also, too, about small business. And I asked you, what is the rate of small business going under in the first few years? You asked me, John, I don't know. You tell me. I wanted to see what you were going to say, but you didn't say anything. The U.S. Small Business Administration says that 50% nationally small business goes under within the 5 years. Long Beach is even higher than that. And if you go downtown Pine or anywhere around here, you can see it for yourself. And after that day we talked, I spent 3 days talking to people in small business, and they told me the same thing. You know, you started to sound like on your biography that you're connected with Goldman Sachs. Well, we all know what Goldman Sachs did to the U.S. economy. It put us under. President Uringa, you talked about the trades and about how people of color was told that they couldn't do anything. Okay, back then, a lot of that was true. But today, that connection does not meet. If you look at the trades today, a lot of trades pay the same pay as somebody with a degree or even more in some cases, and take less time to achieve. But you want to bring in a trucking program, and right now, truck drivers, unless you drive for a big company, you don't make jack. Because a lot of the drivers down in the port, they cut their own throats bidding against each other. I got 16 years with experience on that. I have family that own their own business and still friends, and I talk to them. I think you need to look at the numbers again. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Marshawn.
Hello, my name is Marshawn Frazier. I want to kind of read your mission statement up there. Long Beach City College promotes equitable student learning and achievements, academic excellence, and workforce development by delivering high-quality education programs and support services for our diverse community. Last I checked, a lot of our community actually love trades. They love cars. Mr. Uranga, I heard you speak of your Latino background. Last I checked, you guys was the inventors of lowriders and so on and so forth, and also welding and auto body, and basically all the trades you're cutting out. I spoke to a lot of people in the community and got different opinions and gave them true facts. Oh, by the way, Mr. Oakley, I enjoy that middle finger you flipped me off with. I got a YouTube awesome. So anyways, I talked to a lot of people in the community and showed them a lot of financial facts that wasn't correct, and a lot of different things that's going on around here. And the only thing I could come up with is my plan from the get-go, just to make sure none of you guys will ever be able to come and ruin the rest of my community with your decisions, choosing and trying to tell people what they supposed to do and how they supposed to do it in life. Last time I checked, my father was dead and my mother's at home. So until then, your opinions to me are nothing. Thank you.
If there's one thing I don't appreciate, it's being stereotyped. So don't do that to me, I don't do it to you. This ends the meeting. Do I hear adjournment, please? Thank you. Don't be stereotyping me.
We can't raise money, and I don't think there's any cost to it, but we need to have some help getting it in.
I'll make sure that it gets.